Calxiyn here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, but you guys should subscribe. So, we are going to be talking about Summer Rose today, obviously, as you guys can see by the image on the screen. But yeah, so this is her reveal, I guess, because here's the thing. So what we were thinking in our analysis, if you guys watched it, if you guys didn't watch it, just to remind you, because I don't care. Basically, what we were thinking was Jin was like, I'll freely give you knowledge this one time, right? And I'll let you use me to freeze time just this one time, right? And so we're assuming, right? Hunter and I are assuming...
Which is good, because, like, if they didn't say that, there would be people like us who were like, well, why don't you just use Jin all the time?
Yeah,
to
so
freeze
Jin was
time?
like...
He was like, this one time.
Fuck y'all.
If you don't, I'm fuck with you.
Yeah, I know, like, what would Jin even do? Would she just not wake up?
She's just like, she like wakes up and she's like, you have a cigarette
because
in
she
your hand,
already
like,
knew,
oh,
like,
you're
that
just
she
using me
didn't have a
to
question.
using me to stop time again? Okay.
It's like Resetti from Animal Crossing, and it's
Asshole.
like every time she pops up, she's just like, fuck you,
Hi!
hit save! Anyway.
Imagine if Resetti's, there should be a mole. I feel like in Atlas, when you see the...
in the mines?
In the mines, there's like a mole one.
That's such a good idea.
Where there's just like a, he's Resetti, but then he just pops up like, RWBY! I love that. Anyways, back to the topic.
So my point is that Jin gives her knowledge freely this time or whatever and lets her do the shit. So I'm assuming that the flashbacks were actually not RWBY thinking, but were something given to her by Jin.
Or the first time. The second time.
The first time they were her. The second time I feel like Jin helped her because RWBY was thinking about some sad shit. Yeah. But Jin was like, no, you gotta think about this stuff instead, right? So we pushed her in that direction. So Jin sort of helped her with what to think about for next time, but... RWBY has been said by Yang, like, RWBY doesn't remember Summer. Like, RWBY doesn't remember Mom, right? And so, we sort of discussed, okay, but could this be, like, a dream? Like, could this be what RWBY imagines Summer to look like? Yeah. But even that, the way that you would imagine her, right, if I had a dream about somebody...
Well, in that photo, is she standing at her own grave?
What do you mean?
Because that looks like the same hill that her grave is.
Yeah.
So is she standing
at
her?
The sunset
is the
like
grave?
Is
the gravestone there? Shot. Okay, because if you saw the grave and you saw her turn, then that would be like absolute proof that like okay, it's isn't just. But the fact that it's where RWBY in her mind she thinks of her mother, she thinks of that space, and she appears in that space.
I don't think that it's a sort of dream because
I think it's
if
like
RWBY was projecting a dream,
it's
wouldn't
like
she project the image of Crow in like the Summer that was with Crow in school? Because this Summer looks different and older.
It looks older. The
right?
Crow photo Summer.
The Crow photo that we've seen before, Summer looks younger and different. And so here she has like the bun at the back of her hair, like her hairstyle is different. So my question really is that I think that this is from Jin. I think that this is what Summer looked like when she was probably raising Yang before she died. Right, and so I feel like it's Jin provided and not RWBY provided because if it was RWBY in her own head imagining what Summer would have looked like, she would have come up with something that is similar to Crow, like the Crow photo, if she didn't remember Summer.
I feel like
I'm sure there are also pictures of Summer in the house and whatever, but I feel like that this was provided by Jin because it's sort of this 3D image of her mother. Because all the other ones are 2D, right? All the other ones are drawn, but this actually has motion to it. Yeah, all the other ones are photograph almost.
But you can imagine, you can look at a photo of someone and imagine them move.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But all the other ones were flat, almost. Like all the other ones were flat images, but this one was real. So I feel like that
in the flashbacks,
Yeah, and so I feel like that sort of matters, right? Because all the other ones were RWBY's sort of memories, but this one was sort of an alive memory that RWBY probably never would have had. And so that's the distinction for me, is that I feel like that this is really Summer. And that either Jin provided that, or it has something to do with the silver eyes and the genetics of it. That it's sort of like, you know how Deku in My Hero Academia could see like all the other, not see, but see the connections. It could sort of be like that as well. But I like the idea that Jin gave her an image of her mother because a lot of people were like, well, why doesn't RWBY just ask about Summer right to Jin? But you don't want to waste that question. But in a way, Jin has given sort of an answer.
It would also be slightly selfish.
To ask that? Yeah, you only get 3 questions 100 years, but I'm gonna use it on my dead mom. Like,
imagine that's imagine that's how they set up the Stark prequel. They're just like, what was my mom like? Well, we'll tell you, and then like Jin, and then that would be really corny. But no, this is my kind of theory of it.
I really like the idea that Jin did it. I think that's so sweet, especially because Jin sort of looks at her like she's like a mom, like
because it was
clever, like, you know what I mean? Like it just seems like a mom proud of her children. Like it's so weird. But yeah, go ahead with your idea.
When I imagine this is that because because what I like about Jin giving her these memories to help her with the silver eyes is that it doesn't make RWBY OP, because she really can't do like those massive. She's not like a master at it yet.
Yeah, and so she now knows roughly what to think about, but obviously your mind wanders when you're doing stuff like that. Like your mind sort of thinks of things that it may not want to think about, and so I feel like that Jin helped her by showing her, because it's sort of, what am I trying to say? Direction, like it gave her direction.
Yeah, but what I imagine is that it's like Jin was able to take like the abstract concept of Summer that existed in RWBY's mind. Like she's a mother, she looks like me, she's nurturing, she's smiling. I think it's like when she thinks of her mother, she thinks of speaking to her mother, that connection of her mother, talking to the gravestone at that, sunny kind of. She imagined it. So she takes all of the abstract ideas of her mother about life, and she's able to like solidify it. And as you said, like not like because all she's able to think about are like these 2D images.
It may not be RWBY's memory.
So it's like she. But
it's Jin's providing something.
It's kind of her memory, but it's like parts of her memory and parts of like the unknowable, and it's like created by Jin in her mind.
I don't know if I like that, just because then
like it's like all the different
puzzle. Is this what Summer looks like or not?
All the different puzzle pieces that exist of her mother in RWBY's mind were put together by Jin in her mind, because presumably
I don't like that, just because it's
presumably she knows what her mom looks like. They have more photos.
I guess, but it's just like I don't know if I like that, because it's like, okay, well, if it's an abstract idea, does Summer look like this?
Yes.
Because if you think about somebody in a dream or think about somebody in your memory, it's not going to be an exact replica of what they actually
but it wasn't
look like.
in her memory, because it was guided to be made perfect by Jin.
Okay.
And that's what I kind of imagine. Because
I
feel
it better that Jin just showed her mom. Like, I think that what you said is interesting but complicated.
But because when I feel like, because if you just showed her mom, you could show her anywhere. But I feel like there's a personal connection of how RWBY imagines her mom with the gravestone. So I feel like
this is the last place that Summer actually was, and maybe this is the last happy memory of Summer.
Maybe.
And so maybe the idea is sort of like Jin isn't going to show her like how her mother died. She's going to show her the last smiling memory of Summer leaving
There's
home.
Also kind of like a reference
more like,
to the.
This is where Summer liked to be, and so that's why they put her gravestone
Maybe that
there.
could be it as well. There's like that could work as well. There's also a bit of like a callback from the season 1.
Wait,
RWBY's short, the red short, where you see the white hooded figure and like her white roses are kind of.
But her face was covered,
background.
so it's sort of.
But it's different, but it's kind of similar.
That was probably a dream.
It was sort of kicked up.
And like even Red Like Roses Part 2 is RWBY's imaginary conversation with her mom. This I feel like is more real. And so, like, I understand what you're saying, Hunter, but I feel like it's better for Jin to just, here's, like, the last scene where your mom was happy.
We're probably never going to have a sit-down explanation of it, so it's really just interpretation.
But I'm guessing, regardless, this is what Summer looks like.
I imagine this is what Summer wrote.
With the bun, with the rose bun at the back of her head.
I wonder what her semblance was like.
Well, it's probably the same thing.
I guess we're probably
she has
never
rose petals
hear,
just like RWBY has rose petals, so it's probably all the same.
We're probably never going to hear her, like, speak or anything, I'd imagine. You're not going to see a lot of that.
But yeah. I like the idea that it's Silver-Eyed related, just because it's sort of like, again, it's that My Hero Academia thing where everybody's sort of, I don't want to say connected. You know what I'm trying to say, right?
I mean, obviously RWBY's connected to her mother.
No, but I mean, like, it's the idea that the powers were somehow connected, and so it gave.
Yeah, there's also that wonderful scene where you see her eyes.
Yeah, you see.
And then it
I can put it.
Which you also realize that how did RWBY get that pale? Because so
Jesus. Summer looks like this, so it's gonna be pretty big for you guys. Yes. So you can see this is her face, but this is RWBY's face, and so you see a clear difference in hairstyle,
skin tone.
Hairstyle, skin tone.
I don't know what happened to, like, I guess maybe Tai Yang doesn't have a lot of fucking melanin in him.
I mean, Tai Yang is supposed to be Chinese, as far as we know, or at least partly Chinese, because it's down long, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, but to the extent that there's not, the subcontinent of China.
But you know what I mean? Like, there are some very pale Chinese people in the world.
I guess so, yeah.
And so I feel like when we talk about porcelain skin or people that are white, right? Like, I don't know how to explain this properly. Like, I don't understand why people talk about, like...
The porcelain skin white people are also, like, Asian people are often commonly like achieved with, which there's a lot of, I've seen some very pale people.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Like when people say white people, I'm like, there are a lot of Asians that have very pale skin, and I know they're not white as in our sort of social definition of Caucasian,
from Europe.
But I'm like, but their skin is white. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Also, a lot of time that shit is like achieved with various things like makeup and like bleached out lighting.
Yeah.
So when you imagine, like, because still, I don't know any Asian person that pale. You see them, but
I've seen a couple Asian people.
But was it that like, or was it like lighting, or was it makeup and stuff like that?
No, Hunter. I'm just saying that could be why she's pale, because.
But yeah, no, obviously
she's more Tai Yang than some.
I just think that Tai Yang is slightly more pale, and that's where RWBY gets it from. But RWBY is hella pale, man. Oh god, that's really nothing. That's not something to like.
Anyway, this wasn't like.
I really dug this scene. It was definitely a highlight of the episode. Probably like the whole scene, summer included, was like a highlight of the season for me.
I think so.
Which there was a lot of highlights.
I don't think I necessarily had the biggest reaction to it, but I was just sort of.
I was on the verge of tears.
I was just like, what is happening?
I was on the verge of tears.
But yeah, at first it didn't register. I was like,
it just made me so nostalgic.
Like, no, it's not.
I was like, oh, it's the fight. Oh.
Anyway, that's
my heart.
We will see you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed, and that's it. Bye, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys want to support the channel, you guys should be patrons just like our wonderful patrons whose names will come on the screen now. $10 patrons get videos sometimes 2 weeks in advance, sometimes 3 weeks in advance, basically much earlier than anyone else. They can also request us to do a video for them, so this could be a reaction, a theory, a discussion, anything like that. Our $5 patrons get a week in advance early access, or somewhere within that time frame, so between 2 days early and 7 days early, basically, but usually it's 7 days early, because I'm good with my scheduling. Anyway, our $1 patrons and all of our patrons above the $1 tier get access to our Discord server, so if you guys want to talk with us, talk with other fans of whatever you're watching right now, you guys can, and I hope that we will see you there. Bye.